couple things. One is I think about the NIL era. How much money would Jimmer have made in college? Oh my goodness.
Like, it would have been all right. I would have been all right.
He
Sean.
wouldn't have gone to the Shanghai Sharks, I'm telling you that.
Fredette for the lead. Yes! Fredette with the three. Bullseye! What a shot by Fredette!
Crunch time. The boy gave us more trays than a
He's got his J back, folks, and the eye of the tiger.
This is From the Logo with Jimmer Fredette.
Party on, I am Spencer Linton, he is Jimmer Fredette, and this is From the Logo. Always great to have you with us for our deep range conversations about life inside and well beyond the world of sports. Jimmer, how are things in the life of a man who is going to have his number 32 jersey retired at BYU in just a few short weeks?
Man, things are great. Very normal. Like, I've had a very normal day today, but besides the fact that I'm still getting texts and Instagram messages and tweets and I guess X's or whatever you want to call it, about my jersey retirement. Obviously, a lot of congratulations still. But other than that, I brought the kids to school today. I'm picking them up. We're going to dinner. We got a basketball game tonight. I mean, just a normal life in the day at Jimmer Fredette. It's phenomenal.
You're still dad when it comes right down to it, right? And I've talked to Steve Young about this, where he's like, no one cares that I won 2 MVPs in the NFL, Super Bowl. They don't care. Just, hey, are you on time in carpool? If you're
Exactly.
one, what the heck, Dad? Where are you?
Are you staying inside the orange cones in the carpool lane, or are you not? Right? Like, that's what matters on a day-to-day basis for us right now.
The things that matter most: stay inside the cones, be on time for carpool. I can appreciate that. As always, our purpose in this podcast is to uplift, educate, and entertain with an array of topics, often centered on impactful moments, experiences, and decisions that have shaped the lives of Jimmer, myself, and our MVP guests. And speaking of, how fun was Jamal Williams and the insight that he brought in our last podcast?
He's such a funny guy. I mean, gosh, we could have done 3 parts for that podcast. Like the amount of content that he gave us. He's a funny guy, but he's also just like a genuinely good person. Everyone that meets Jamal loves him, and they are always uplifted when he's around because he brings that energy. And you never know what he's gonna do. Right? You're kind of on edge of like, all right, what's going to happen? Like all of a sudden he just pulls out a Pop-Tart and starts eating it in the middle of the podcast, and he has his cats going everywhere. And you're just like, what's going to happen next? I love being around him, and everyone at BYU Nation and all the teams that he played for in the NFL, all the fan bases love him, and you can see why.
I said as much on social media, and it's legitimate. My cheeks hurt after smiling for an hour straight and laughing. He is that guy.
Yeah, he is hilarious, fun to be around. We're grateful that he was on the pod, and he took some time to really, show himself, and we got the full Jamal experience.
Now, if I can be so selfish, Jimmer, and tell you a reason why I'm not smiling currently, I'd like to open up my life and tell our audience a bit about some of the realities that many of us face. Just had an appliance repairman come over to my house because my oven's broken. And if you know me and my family and my wife, Brittany, that is her passion. She loves to bake and cook. And if the oven is not working, you need to replace it or fix it ASAP. So we called over the appliance repair guy. He spent maybe 5 to 10 minutes here and said, well, your heating elements aren't working. So it's going to be $150 to replace that, $150 for that, labor, all this stuff. It's going to be $550. I'm like, $550? A brand new oven is like $700. And this goes back to our good friend and comedian Dustin Anderson, who has been clamoring. He's been asking, where is the traditional Maytag man that can save you significant money? Where is that guy, right? Like, where's the repairman that can do it and legitimately save you money? It's nowhere to be found. Like, it's always, well, if you fix all this stuff in your old appliance, then you can save $100, or you can just go buy a new one. It is like, there's no way around it, Jimmer, and I'm tired of it. Where is the truly save you significant money repair guy?
They are few and far between, Spence. I will say that. They are few and far between. But out here in Colorado, in Littleton, Colorado, we have a guy, and his name is Wally. And Wally is the man. And he recently brought on a guy named Jeff as well. And those two are absolute repairmen. They do everything and anything you need them. I helped them, craft our basement in our last house. They put it in my car charger, for my electric car.
The do-it-all guy?
The do-it-all guy. He does caulking. He'll put up wallpaper. He'll literally do anything you ask him to do for a fair price. And he is incredible. You need to get yourself a Wally/Jeff connection out there in Utah. You just got to do some research, Spence. You got to do some research. You got to ask around, because they're not on Instagram. I'm going to tell you that. You got to make sure you got to go in deep with some relationships to be able to find a guy like that, because not everybody's just going to give that information up, because if they have a guy, they love him. And I just, did it to the whole world. Don't call Wally or Jeff. He's our guy. All right. I have a guy that does it. So, but they are hard to find. I will say that.
Help me, folks. I live in the Lehigh, Saratoga Springs, Utah area. If you have a do-it-all guy, a repair guy who can save you legitimate money and is honest and forthright, I need a Wally in my neighborhood. I need that guy. I will take submissions and recommendations. And guess what? If it turns out that it's actually good and that person actually can deliver, I'll pub them on all my social medias in this podcast, Jimmer. I need that guy in my life.
Yeah, you do. That's free promotion right there too. We didn't ask for any payment on that. It's free promotion. That's a good deal. Okay. It's a good deal.
Sorry, top of mind subject, because it just happened right before we pushed record.
For the mind of Spence.
My credit card bill is going to be a little higher next month than usual. It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Secondly, had this thought the other night, and we can talk about doing something like this in the future. But as you know, Jimmer, I love grammar. I love words. My dad was a wordsmith. He was a technical writer. He taught me to love the English language and respect the grammar. And I think we need to have a grammar or vocabulary tip of the week, or at least a pet peeve of the week.
You have a lot of those, Spence. You got a lot of those. And let me tell you, I am not leading this grammar section, okay? Because my grammar is terrible, okay? I have a beef with the English language in general. There's no way that I know how to speak properly, how to write properly. That's why I can't homeschool my kids. I can't teach them anything, so it's just like, you're doing that section, but I know you have some quips with that, so I'm excited about it.
Let's just start with this one, okay? Real simple one that takes 15 seconds before we get into the meat of our opening segment. And that is the following. The word especially is not X-specially. It is not EX. It's not EX. It's spelled E-S-P-E-C-I-A-L-L-Y. It is especially. Especially is not a word. You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's been great.
We are going to have some fun times about this, because I have some words that I pronounce that you are going to go crazy over. Upstate New York, Glens Falls, the way that we pronounce things, you are going to have a blast. Let's do this. We'll keep this going.
The following segment is going to be especially entertaining, Jimmer.
Great.
We are now officially ready for the opening tip-off. And here is our starting lineup today. It's NFL playoff season. We were all feeling good last week. Oh, Jimmer, you were feeling good. Had all three of your teams still in the playoffs.
Yep.
And we said, hey, when we record it, it's good for now, but depends on what happens. We're going to follow up on that. All right. Sean Farnham, ESPN College Basketball savant, analyst, insider. He has worked his way to the top of the college basketball broadcast world. How did he do it? Why did he turn down 34 scholarship offers to go to UCLA and not have a scholarship?
Yeah.
In one day. Good point. Crazy.
One day. Yeah.
Crazy. Can't wait to talk to Sean. And what is this 3x3 coaching segment that Jimmer has in store today? How do the coaches work there? And we'll get into some of that as well. With that said, bring on the early tray. 3 top-of-mind subjects to set the pace and get the conversation rolling. Though I will say today, the conversation's already rolling because...
You rolled it. You rolled that ball down the hill already. You're still mad.
My teeth are gritting.
Seething.
Like, All right, Jimmer, that
Great.
said, you ready to shoot?
I'm ready to shoot. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Start with the NFL playoffs. As we pointed out in last podcast, you had all three of your early season picks still in. You said Eagles, Bills in the Super Bowl. It's going to be awesome. So let's just go ahead and start with what the heck happened to the Philadelphia Eagles?
They lost. Yeah, they lost, Spence. And it's as simple as that. Not happy about it. I don't really like the Eagles. I like our guy Britton Covey on the Eagles because he's on the pod. I love that kid. He's great. Generally speaking, I don't like the Eagles. I'm a Giants fan. We all know this. But I wanted them to win that stinking game because my word and reputation is out there now, right? Like I was laughing at you last time because I was 3 and you were 2. And I was like, hey, this is how it's going to work. And, I'm the best picker of all time and doing all these things. And 1 week later, 2 of my teams dropped, of course. 2 of my teams dropped. I will say my Super Bowl pick is still intact. Josh Allen had an incredible game and just showed out. That's what Josh Allen can do. I think he's going to do it for the rest of the playoffs.
Ooh, first road playoff win for him, by the way. Road playoff win for him.
Seriously, congrats to Josh. But he still doesn't have a great team around him. So I'm a little worried about that. But he is willing his team to victory. I hope that that's the case. But yeah, I'm down now. I'm down and out right now. And it's your turn to gloat. It's your turn to gloat, Spence. Let's hear it.
Just to go on record, like who was the second team that lost, Jimmer? We need to remind everyone who your other team was that lost.
Gosh, it was the Eagles. I don't even care anymore. I don't even care. I only know about the Bills. Like, who cares about that other team?
Who freaking cares, dude? It doesn't even matter.
I honestly can't even remember.
It doesn't even matter. All I know is that last week I was like, okay, he's all 3 for 3. And then when I was thinking about it, I'm like, I think he only has the Bills left.
Yeah.
So you know what?
It was the Bills, the Eagles. You know who it was? It was the Packers.
It was the Packers.
Yeah.
They
was
lost
Packers,
to the
which
Bears, and they
obviously
should have won that game.
100%.
I blew it.
I was so mad at that. Like, that's why I didn't remember it, because I was so mad I had to block it
Bro.
out. How do you let that comeback happen? Like Caleb Williams, he had a couple of incredible throws. I get it. It was amazing. It's absolutely just, but at the same time, I was so mad because they had a chance to win that game. I think they have a good road ahead of them. It didn't work out, and I'm not happy about it.
That was rough to watch.
Yeah, it was tough.
That was crazy. Unless you're a Bears fan. I mean, the Bears are like,
of course.
They got cardiac Caleb. Like it's super entertaining football. But if you're a Packers fan like that, oh my goodness, that was painful.
Oh, well. All right, your turn. Your turn to go.
I love that they lost. I don't care who did I pick. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter anymore.
It's over.
Yeah.
Well, let me rewind a little bit. The Baltimore Ravens lost on a brutal kick at the last second, so I kind of feel your pain in a way. And that was the one team I had out. Coming into the playoffs. So it was 2 for 3, but I said Bills Rams in the Super Bowl, and both won super exciting close games on the road.
Yeah.
And they're both still alive. I think that would be highly entertaining to see Matthew Stafford and the Rams against Josh Allen and the Bills. Like that quarterback matchup to me is fantastic. So disclaimer once again, we are recording this before the divisional rounds. Yeah. So when you listen to this, you could be like, idiots.
Yeah.
Bills lost, Rams lost. You're done. We're recording this before the divisional round playoffs. We will see what happens.
We shall see what happens.
Item number 1 in the early trade. Number 2, you talked about this a little bit, but what has the response been like for you after the news broke that your jersey is going to be retired? Number 32 will hang next to Danny Ainge and Krešimir Ćosić and Roland Minson and Mel Hutchins. Like what has the response been like for you?
It's been a great response. There's been a lot of reach out, like I've talked about, but at the same time, there is a lot of logistical things that I'm trying to take care of now, right? Like all of a sudden they're like, okay, we're going to get you in and we're going to have a weekend out of this. So there's dinners and luncheons and content and who's coming to the game, who's coming to the luncheon. Can we get the emails? Can we get the tickets? Who's going to be like, so now I'm in a full mode of like, all right, I got to figure out who's coming to this thing, who can make it, emails, tickets, all of these things that I was not thinking about before. And it's a bunch that's going to go into it. And we are, super excited about it. Obviously, Whitney's really, trying to figure out exactly what the perfect outfit is for her for every occasion, for the dinner, the luncheon, the game, all that stuff. And then she's going to outfit me, of course, because, I'm not great at dressing myself. So she's going to be like, all right, I need you to wear this and this. You're not
We'll
gonna,
wear this.
You're going to look good if you wear this. You're not going to look good if you wear that. So we're in the midst of all that, getting stuff for the kids, planes, hotels, all the different things that we need to do, prepare for myself, for my family, for her in-laws, for friends, people coming into town, and a lot of logistics going on. So it's exciting. We're pumped about it. The outreach has been incredible. I've heard from people that I haven't heard from for a long time that have reached out, whether it's on text, calling, Instagram, whatever that may be, which is really, really a fun thing to be a part of. But man, I'm just thinking about it now. What an absolute honor. It really is. Like, people are every time someone has actually reached out and said something, they're like, this is actually a big deal. And I don't even really think about that, like, you haven't really had time to think about it, but your number is like, the jersey is actually going to be up in the rafters forever. And how cool of a moment that is going to be. And I am just really excited to be able to be a part of it with the university that I love, the people that I love, and be able to do it in front of Cougar Nation. I know it's going to be wild in there. And, 50-50 chance some tears come out. We'll see.
Yes.
We have 50-50 on that right
Yes.
now. And you guys can do, your bets and over-unders on that later. Of
Prop
what's going to
bet
happen.
on Jimmer's retirement day.
On how many tears coming down, streaming down from the face as I'm doing it. So we'll see.
We have
been
prop
awesome.
bets now. I am here for it, man. Just as a quick follow-up before we move on, what's maybe one of the more gratifying or memorable responses that you got from somebody out there in the universe that was congratulating you on your jersey retirement?
Yeah, there's some great ones. One that I just love, a person that I love to hear from, Cheryl Rose, Coach
Yes.
Rose's wife. She is so lovely, so delightful. And I remember after every single game that we won at BYU, she made us cookies every single game, and she would bring them in after practice, and she'd bring them in like this basket, and she either made chocolate chip cookies or snickerdoodles, and we would always be like, hey, this is what we want if we win this game, and she would take it and she'd bring it into us. And she's the most lovely person on the planet. But once that ball was tipped, she would go more crazy than Coach Rose would. She would be on the refs. She would be cheering like crazy. And it reminded me a lot of my family and my mom. And she's such a great person to delight. The Roses are just incredible. So when I hear, her reach out, just how much that meant to her and to her family and to Coach Rose in general, that's what really means a lot to me. The people that I was close with that have reached out, former teammates, that are like, this is really cool, and you want to, be there for your special moment. So that was one that stuck out to me. Obviously, a ton of awesome people, but I love Cheryl.
Great stuff. She had a interesting relationship with all the officials. They knew each other on a first name basis, no doubt about it. Not a joke. First name basis with Cheryl Rose.
Yes, they did.
And all of the officials working BYU games.
She's
all right,
the best.
finally, this one, a quick little tidbit to close out the early tray. And I thought about this as I was salting my driveway from ice and snow in the early morning hours of a frigid morning on the mountainside here where I live, and just thought, where is the sun? Where is the warmth and happiness that I need in my life? Christmas is over. It's January. This is terrible. What's the key to overcoming the post-Christmas blues, Jimmer?
Yeah, this is a tough one. This one is something that used to linger a lot longer for me. When I was younger, when I was in my mom's house, and we were back in, 26 Ogden Street in Glens Falls, New York, when I was, in that spot, I used to try to make Christmas linger until like my birthday, which is February 25th. Okay. That's like
2 months.
it's a long time to let it linger. I was like, Mom, you can't take down the Christmas stuff because like you said, it's dark. It's cold. Like in upstate New York, it's not like in the West Coast, right? Like our winters are dark and you do not actually see the sun for a long time. And that snow stays all year and it gets dirty. And it's just one of those, it's a little bit tougher of a winter in the upstate New York than it is out here in the West Coast. And so because of that, I always wanted it. Now that I'm a little bit older, what I figured out is with Whitney, of course, she is on it. She is on this stuff. Literally, when we get home, this year, December 26th, we took everything down. We took it down. Everything.
Just done.
Everything. And we were like, this is a clean slate. We're moving on. We're going into the new year. We're got our New Year's resolutions. We're doing our stuff. And I feel like it's just ripping the Band-Aid off. And you're kind of just like, all right, here we go. Let's go. We're getting into a new thing, new goals. And then you're focusing on those new goals. So that month of January helps go by because you're like you're like kick drived into these new opportunities that you have. And that's what I've tried to do. And I feel like it's kind of helped a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I don't love taking it down December 26th. I feel like that's a little bit like the Grinch, you know what I mean? But at the same time, you're moving forward. And I feel like that's kind of helped a little bit.
Okay. A fresh start, clean slate right after Christmas. Interesting technique. See, that I felt a little twinge in my heart because I am the guy that's like, I'm depressed knowing that when my wife is like, okay, we're a week into January, Christmas tree's going down. I'm like, oh, can we just have one more night staring at the Christmas tree lights? But maybe there's something to what you bring up. It's like, hey, look, just hard reset and go.
Rip it off.
For me, first of all, seasonal depression is a real thing. And my mom, Christine, deals with it. And frankly, I think my wife, Brittany, deals with it a little bit where it's like, oh man, because you have family around and Christmas is awesome. And then like you get into January and it's cold and it's just kind of hard to work through sometimes. And I feel it as well. But I am convinced that if you give yourself something to look forward to, whether it be goals or things that you're talking about, or just like something to work toward, a vacation at the end of January or in early February, or just something exciting, whatever it is, remind yourself of that on the calendar and say, I'm working for that. Like, yeah, we're pushing that. Going through January gets us closer to that. So I can get on board for that. So that is my small tidbit, not like this mind-blowing revelation or something that is profound, but that seems to help me. If I have something on the calendar that I can look forward to, then it doesn't feel as daunting getting through the post-Christmas blues.
Love that, Spencer. Thanks for the advice. Thanks for the wisdom. That was great. Love it.
You got it. Wasn't that especially meaningful?
It was especially great.
That's the early tray, and we shoot it from the logo, no less. When we come back, Sean Farnham of ESPN takes on the full court press. He did that literally at UCLA from several high-level opponents. Why did he choose the Bruins in a non-scholarship situation when he had guaranteed money and scholarships at 34 other schools? And what did his son, 14-year-old son, teach him over Christmas that changed his perspective on the last holiday season? He'll reveal all of that when From the Logo continues after this.
If you or your business are looking to reach a wide audience, From the Logo with Jimmer Fredette will help you reach your goals. Whether you're interested in title sponsorship, segment sponsorship, or product placement on the podcast, email us at jimmerftl@gmail.com and let us help you shoot your shot.
Welcome back to From the Logo. Let's roll out the full court press with today's VIP guest. He is a former UCLA Bruin basketball standout, a model father and husband, award-winning college basketball analyst for ESPN, and frankly, one of the leading voices in all of college hoops for that matter, Sean Farnham. Sean, great to see you, brother.
Dude, it's great to see you. I feel like you and I never get to connect. I feel like I don't ever get to spend time with you. Oh, wait, never mind. I'm on your show every single week on BYU TV. But no, it's great. And then, of course, it's great to see Jimmer. And so many times, I mean, I could tell story. I'm going to tell a story right off the top.
Let's go.
So,
I love
San Diego State, BYU. That rivalry was insane back in the day, right? And Dave Flemming and I were on the call up in Spokane, Washington, and that game was being played on CBS Sports Network, which was very hard to find. It's not in a lot of hotels. And no disrespect to CBS Sports Network, but this is before you could also stream things, right? And so Dave and I went all around Spokane, Washington, just to find this one restaurant that had CBS Sports Network so we could watch Jimmer and BYU do their thing against those great San Diego State teams. It was can't miss television. And Jimmer, you were so great for college basketball, and so excited about you getting your jersey put up in the rafters here coming up in a couple of weeks. So well deserved, and it's great to be on with you.
Well, that is awesome. I appreciate that support. I mean, geez, going everywhere to try to find this CBS Sports. It was easier to find than the Mountain Channel. I will say that.
That is
the
true.
Mountain Channel was difficult to find, so they at least put it on CBS Sports so a few people could watch it that night. But we appreciate that support, and it's awesome to see what you're doing with college basketball. We love listening to you. You're doing great things, and it's super fun to listen to your call. So thanks for being on today. This is awesome.
Yeah, no, it really is. And BYU's been a great community, as you know, Jimmer and Spencer. You guys live in this community. You're a big part of this community, obviously, Jimmer. And as a broadcaster, people ask you, like, are you fans of certain teams or certain programs? And I go, yeah, sure I am. And they're like, well, isn't that bias? And I'm like, no. There's like I like to go to places. There's a couple things I like. I like good people, great student sections, fun atmospheres, teams that win and compete and play at a high level. Those are things I really like. Like, you send me to Allen Fieldhouse. I love Allen Fieldhouse. Send me up to Spokane. I love Spokane. Why? Their games are always packed. It's always fun. It's always loud. They're usually amongst the best teams in the country. And certainly BYU over the years has provided that, whether it was under Mark Pope or now under KY.
The great Sean Farnham is with us on From the Logo with Jimmer Fredette. Just out of curiosity, Sean, as you reminisced about watching Jimmer play and score 43 points in that game against San Diego State, let's rewind to the first time you ever heard his name. What's your first recollection of the name Jimmer in college basketball?
Like, honestly, it was like one of those things where like BYU's good, and we're like, wait, BYU's good?
Yeah,
like
unaware. How?
BYU might win a national championship? What is this that we speak of? And we're like, why? And they're like, Jimmer. And then it just, like, think about this. A couple things. One is I think about the NIL era. How much money would Jimmer have made in college? Oh, my goodness.
It would have been all right. I would have been all right,
He
Sean.
wouldn't have gone to the Shanghai Sharks, I'm telling you that.
Would have stayed in Provo as long as I could.
I mean, come on. But, but those teams were really special, and they were really good, and they were fun. And then you're looking at him, and he's doing things that, like, nobody else was doing. Like, I mean, pulling up from the logo and playing with this freedom at the offensive end that was just mesmerizing because it was uniquely different at that time. Like, it wasn't something that was very much so part of the college basketball game. And I look back at it, and I played with Jason Capono. Like, Jason Capono is one of the most elite shooters of all time. Look at the NBA record book and look up three-point field goal percentage. Capono is like top 10 all time in NBA history. I think he averaged 3 3-point shots per game at UCLA. Like, it is unbelievable how different the style of play is versus now he would be getting up like 15, 20 threes, and he'd probably be averaging like 40 points a game and everybody be going crazy. Jimmer was the guy that got to do that when nobody else was getting to do it. And so it just became so fun to watch. And that team and the pacing in which they played for Coach Rose was just incredible. It was really a lot of fun.
Shout out to Coach Rose and all my teammates for letting me take those shots, right? Like, I mean,
I
was just pulling up. I was pulling up everywhere. They were getting a lot of long rebounds. They were getting a lot of assists. They were playing defense. I was just chilling and shooting shots, right? It was phenomenal. Absolutely love it. Shout out to all my teammates. But all right, enough talking about me. Let's talk a little bit about yourself, Sean. Tell me a little bit about your high school career and how you ended up at UCLA. Such a prestigious basketball school. Is one of the best basketball schools ever, and all of the accolades that come with that. How'd you end up there?
Recruiting was way different, right? Like, I mean, like, there was no internet, there was no FaceTiming or putting stuff out on the internet and people just watching highlights. There's no huddle that you could just get highlights immediately on. So you just had to make tapes, and you'd send out tapes and whatnot. And like, I was pretty fortunate. I was on one of the first Oakland Soldiers teams. And Calvin Andrews, who's now with Clutch Sports, and with Coach Thomas, who was an older gentleman who used to coach in the Bay Area. They put together this team out of basically the Slam and Jam Summer League, the Spring League. And then we went and played in tournaments. And it was basically the team was built around myself and Eddie House.
That guy was amazing.
And like obviously Eddie was a dynamic shooter. You talk about, Jimmer could shoot, Eddie could shoot really well too. I mean, he was unbelievably good and gifted. And I was smart enough to figure out if I set on-ball screens for Eddie, that they would run 2 to him, and then I'd be wide open, and I'd just dunk and finish it off. And we went down to like the BCI tournament that used to be down in Phoenix, Arizona, and I was named like All-American as a sophomore. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going big time. And I was getting calls at the time. As soon as they start making calls, I had Coach Huggins gave me a call from Cincinnati, Bill Guthridge from North Carolina, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like my dreams are coming true. And then they would come watch me play in high school, which is where you used to get really recruited from, was in high school. And I was 6'6", and I was the center.
Yeah,
and they're like, that's not the guy. Like,
it's not gonna work.
This isn't the same guy. Like, I don't know what happened here. And so, like, it kind of changed the schools. They dropped off, and it kind of changed schools of who was looking at me and who wasn't looking at me. And I ended up looking and going into my senior year thinking University of Montana. I was a full appointment to the United States Air Force Academy. There's some local schools in like Santa Clara in particular that was recruiting me at the time. And then the next thing you know, we make a run to the state championship. And had UCLA not lost to Princeton, I would have never ended up at UCLA.
Wow.
So the night in the state championship, we played Crenshaw. Crenshaw was coached by Willie West, who's in the Basketball Hall of Fame, Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame for high school coaching. He's on record number of championships in the state of California, and they had 3 really high-level players. And I went off. I had 22 points, 15 rebounds, 5 block shots, 5 assists, 4 steals in the game, and we almost beat them. And that night, I got 34 scholarship offers in one night.
That is insane.
And my high school coach was like, this is unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this.
34.
Like, I don't know. How do we do this? Like, how do we even approach this?
Yeah.
And he goes, well, I just want to start with this. I got Jim Herrick's name on a card, and he wants you to call him tomorrow at 5 o'clock. I don't know, Sean, if they're going to offer you or not. I don't know anything about it, but like, I can tell all these guys they have to wait until UCLA, or do you want me to tell UCLA you're just going to go in a different direction? I was like, no, we'll wait for UCLA. This is a year removed from the 95 championship. So they won the title in 95. They lose in the first round to Princeton. And one of the things I credit my mom and dad for is they always gave me a very good sense of who I was. Like, I never made more of my career on the court than it actually was. I know who I was as a player. And I also know when you reach a level, and Jimmy, you could probably even attest to it, there's a tap out at some point in time. Like, dang, like I didn't think I was going to have to tap out here, that this was where it was going to end. But I knew going from high school to college that if I went to UCLA, it was going to be my tap out moment, that I was going to be playing with the best players in the world, guys that, that had won national championships, Charles O'Bannon, Toby Bailey, J.R. Henderson, who was playing overseas in Japan up until like 2 years ago. And then, of course, guys that I was with, Baron Davis, Jason Capono, Matt Barnes, Earl Watson, so many great players that I was able to play with during my 4 years at UCLA. But the next night I called Jim Herrick, and I couldn't wait any longer. I was supposed to call him at 5. I called him at 4:57. And he gets on the phone with his little drawl, West Virginia drawl. Sean, you passed the first test, son. I think you really want to be a Bruin. And I was like, whoa, like that's how we're starting this conversation. Like, I get to be a Bruin? Like, wait, what are we talking about here? And he goes, listen, I've only seen you play one game, kid. It was really good. I want you to come down. I'm going to give you an official visit. I'm going to give you all the bells and whistles. But I don't offer scholarships to a kid that just played one game that I seen. So you're going to have to earn that scholarship. And I was like, okay, I got it, coach. Like, I really want to come on a visit. Like, it's a UCLA. Are you kidding me? I get to school on Monday. FedEx packages, like, literally get delivered to the classroom. Like, that's how you used to get your mail. Like, and it's like stacks like this. And it's everything from UCLA. All my classmates are going crazy. I've got a bag now next to my desk that has all the media guides, the posters, everything in there. And the last thing my mom and dad said to me on the visit was, hey, whatever you do, don't commit. Coach has already told you he's not going to give you a scholarship right away. We can come and talk about it, but like, don't commit. And I said, no worries. I go down there. Day 2 of the trip, coach is standing there with me, and he goes, Sean, I got to go see this young point guard in France, Tony Parker. And he goes, is there anything I need to do before I leave? Because I need to know, are you going to be a Bruin? I said, Coach, I'm committed. I want to be a Bruin. And so I commit. Now, again, no cell phone, no nothing. I have to fly home now and tell my parents that I just walked away from 34 full ride scholarships that I just got overnight to take the scholarship at UCLA, to take a non-scholarship at UCLA and have to earn it. And so that's how I ended up at UCLA. And I actually ended up being put on scholarship before the start of my freshman year because I went down and I slept on the couch of Tony Luffman, who now works at the NHL Network. I slept on his couch in his apartment. I made all the early workouts. I sat on the floor at the men's gym, waited my turn to play with the pros and those legendary games that they have down at UCLA. And then I went back down and I slept on the couch of Bob Myers, of course, general manager, executive of the year multiple times over again in the architecture of that Golden State Warriors roster that was so prolific and won all those championships. And I sat on his couch. I should have spent more time, by the way, on his couch because I'd make a lot more money in doing front office work than I'm doing right now at ESPN. But those guys, went to bat for me. And Bob and Charles O'Bannon and Cameron Dollar, those were our three captains. And they went to coach after I came down for the second week and fed myself and made the workouts and said, you need to talk to a strength coach. We've seen him play, coach. He can play. Like, he's good. He'll help us. And when I came back down to start school, we had our media day pictures. And back then, it was just literally a photo of you in your uniform, right? That was it.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I ever got to put on the uniform, saw my name on the back of it. I was like kid in a candy shop wearing that uniform with those 4 letters. And Coach Herrick said, hey, before you take that uniform off, you should come by my office. And I said, why should I come by your office, Coach? What, you need me for something? He goes, yeah, I need you to pick up the phone and call your parents and tell them they're getting reimbursed, that you're on full ride scholarship here at UCLA.
Amazing.
And that was one of the greatest moments of my life, still to this day. And it was life-changing. It really was. Because I couldn't, my parents, we couldn't afford it. I was going to have to take out student loans. But I wanted to do it because I wanted to be part of a program that was bigger than me. I wanted to be part of a program that had a chance to win a national championship and compete at the highest of levels and really test myself every single day to understand what it takes to be elite. And while you could definitely look at my stats and go, you weren't elite, what I would say is go back and look at when I started, what our team's results were. I never lost a game in which I started in the regular season at UCLA. And we beat number 1 Stanford. We beat Arizona my first ever start when they were undefeated and ranked number 5 in the country. And every time I started, we were struggling. And I understood very quickly what my role was. Like, if I was taking a shot, it was a bad possession for our team. I'm just being honest. We had 4 NBA pros out on the court.
Yeah,
you
for
don't
sure.
want
At
Sean
the same
Farnham shooting
time.
the ball.
Yeah.
But what could I do that nobody else could do? And that's set screens, dive on the floor for loose balls, catch the ball and immediately reverse it so the timing of our offense was right. We beat Maryland my senior year by 100. Not really, but it was still the largest margin of victory for a lower seeded team in the NCAA tournament to this date still. And it was a 2000 NCAA tournament. And I was watching the film back a couple of years later with Earl Watson. And Earl was in my house and we're sitting there and I said, Earl, why did you never run the offense where I was the guy that dove down to the block where I could do it and make a play? And he goes, because when I ran it away from you, you set the best back screen on the team and I could catch the lob and finish, or I knew that you were going to reverse it to me and then I had the opportunity to hit the 3 or dump it down to our big on the ball reversal, who quite frankly, Sean, it was Dan Gadzurk or Jerome Oiso. Both guys played in the NBA. One was a lottery pick. I'd much rather get the ball in their hands. And I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. But that's kind of how my role was. And I've accepted that. And that's why I embrace who I was as a player. I never was in the ilk of a guy like Jimmer that could score 100 points in a game. And that wasn't going to be how I could find my way out onto the court. And I think that one of the things I've learned over life, and I've tried to instill this in my kids or even talk to players when I meet with them at shoot-arounds and whatnot, is can you star in your own role? Like, you can be a star, but can you star in your role? And are you willing to accept that role and star in that role? Because if you do, it helps everyone around you. It empowers those teammates around you to thrive in their role, and then success tends to follow. And I was fortunate enough to be able to say I was a team captain at UCLA and start my final 2 years in every NCAA tournament game in which we played in, and I take great pride in that. I really do.
Sean, I love that story because it's so on brand for you. You did it the hard way. You earned every single thing you got all the way up to UCLA, those tournament wins, the scholarship that came along with it. And I had recently the opportunity to meet Coach Herrick when he came to honor BYU's former basketball coach, Roger Reed, who was being inducted into the BYU Athletic Hall of Fame. So cool to rub shoulders with him and feel of his wisdom. It was just like emanating from him. And you mentioned Kid in a Candy Store. It was so cool to talk with him. You were coached by him. Remarkable. What was the greatest lesson he ever taught you as your basketball coach at UCLA?
Easy. So he was very much so like a John Wooden like guy, right? Like he loved Coach Wooden. And I was like, Coach Wooden sat behind our bench every game. Never missed a game that I played at UCLA. Like, so that was just incredible. But he used to bring out the chalkboard. And we didn't have dry erase boards. We had chalkboards.
Yeah.
And he would bring out a chalkboard and he would write out these things on it. And I'll never forget one of the first practices my freshman year. He had the word pride written across the top of the chalkboard. He said, pride, fellas, a personal responsibility in a daily effort. What is your responsibility in your daily effort to us as a team, to you as a person, to you as a community, like to UCLA? Like what do you take pride in? And if you don't have pride, what do you have? And that always has stood out to me. And I do 1,000 speeches at like kids camps and stuff like that. And, we all talk all these club teams call you up and say, hey, high school teams. And I always will go back to that. And it's funny because it was, a coachism that was written on a board and it stuck with me because it is one of those things that I try to live my life every single day with pride. What is my daily effort and what am I taking pride in, whether it be fatherhood, being a husband, my responsibility to try to tell the stories as best as I possibly can of these student athletes that I get so blessed to cover now in the college game with my job at ESPN, my work at the American Cancer Society. What can I take pride in and how is my effort reflecting of what is truly important in my life? Because if something's truly important in your life, you'll sacrifice a lot to accomplish what you set out for. But if you don't have pride, you accept being normal. Because winning is not normal. Inherently, winning is not normal. There are very few people in life that win on a consistent basis. And I'm not talking just in competition, but even in that sense, competition, it's not normal to have a 12-game win streak in college athletics, in college basketball. It's not normal for Alabama to win as many titles as they did under Nick Saban. It's not normal to win the titles that John Wooden won. It's not normal to have the success that Coach K had. Like those things are abnormal. And so then when you're blessed enough to be around those people, you try to like learn from them. And I think that's kind of always been my lifelong learning mentality of taking what Coach Herrick had taught me in that simple statement and trying to apply it in all aspects of my life so that when my time on earth is done, and no matter when that time is, tomorrow, 35 years from now, 40 years from now, I don't know. Nobody knows, right? But whenever that time is, I hope that when somebody looks back on what I brought to the table, that they go, man, that guy, he worked every single day to be at his personal best. That's it. If I accomplished that, I think that I've accomplished a lot. And that's one of the things that I kind of try to lean in on, even in today and getting ready for this game tonight.
That's so great. We have Sean Farnham here on From the Logo podcast. I love that. It's so great. What do you take pride in, right? What can you find in your life that is so important to you, that is important for you to make sure that you are doing it to the best of your ability, and talking about, finding your niche and finding your role and being the best you can in that role. I try to tell the youth that all the time, right? What are you good at? Try to find that and be the best at it, because then you stand out. Then you can go and do your thing. And I love that lesson that you've instilled in us today. Sean, just quickly, segue, you talked a little bit about being at ESPN. How did you get into broadcasting? Like, was that something that was, hey, I want to do this. This is a lifelong goal of mine after basketball. I wanted to get into broadcasting, or what was that?
No, I thought I was going to be a coach.
Okay.
I coached for a year at Pepperdine under Jan Van Bredikoff. We had a pretty good team that they had beaten Indiana in that 2000 NCAA tournament. I was fresh out of college and was actually hired before I even graduated from UCLA to be an assistant at Pepperdine. So that was kind of like hard finishing up my spring semester and then also organizing summer camps, trying to get recruiting in, trying to do individual workouts with Pepperdine's players. We ended up being pretty good that next year, but then Jan Van Bertikoff left and took the St. Bonaventure job. And I had just gotten engaged, and I had to make a decision. Was I going to keep my engagement, or was I going to go follow my career path? And I chose to keep my engagement. Now, at that time, there was no other coaching jobs available in the LA area in particular, because Paul Westphal was coming in. He was going to bring his own staff and guys that he had associations with, and that was very normal and expected. So what I did was I leaned back in on, during my final 2 years at UCLA, I did something called the Farnham Files. And it happened when I picked up the microphone one day and told Billy McDonald, who is now the play-by-play man of the Los Angeles Lakers, and I said, Billy Mack, you've got the easiest job in the world, my man. It's so easy. Like, he's like, oh, really? What would you do? And I picked up the mic and I did a whole open for Arizona State versus UCLA. And little did I know that mic was hot in the truck, and the executive producer of Fox Sports Net was in the truck. And so he hears and goes, who is that? And me, it's 2.5 hours before game time, I'm probably like throwing hook shots up from half court, just messing around. And he goes, hey, do you want to be in TV? And I said, sure.
Why not?
So, again, couldn't get paid. I'd like to retroactively sue somebody and see if I can get some money out of it. But for the next 2 years of UCLA, I did a segment on a weekly UCLA sports magazine show. I interviewed my coach. I interviewed my teammates. I took the camera on road trips and showed people what we do on road trips. And it was all like this stuff, but it was really like to make me comfortable on the camera. And I thought that I did a good job at it, but I never was paid for it. So when I got out of coaching, I decided to call up the same people that had hired me to do that for UCLA Sports Magazine show, and unpaid, and said, hey, I'm getting out of coaching. I'd really like to come in and try my hand at television. Would you let me do it? And they said, sure, we'll put you on some high school games. And so the first thing I ever did was sideline for a high school football game. And it was the first time I ever wore an IFB in my ear. And for anybody that knows IFB is this wire that goes in your ear, and you can have your producer talk to you and tell you exactly kind of like what the update is or what's going to happen next. Or, it's a way of communication where the audience at home doesn't hear it, but you can. And so on the field, I got the IFB, and I've got my microphone here in front of me, and I'm like, I remember when you think of legendary coaches in Southern California, Ron Barnes comes to mind from Los Alamitos. And my producer goes, lower third. I had no idea what lower third meant. And I went, what? And I looked off camera like somebody had said something in this ear, because that's where my IFB was. And now my mic is shaking. And then I put my head down like this, and I'm pointing at the screen. And it was just awful. It was so bad. After the game, I looked at the guy. He's John Hefner. And I said, I'm done, right? You guys I'm fired. I'm never getting to do this again, right? And he's like, no, this was kind of expected. This is why we have you doing high school football. It'll be okay. We just need to get you more reps, get you more comfortable. And so I started doing that. I started doing feature stories. I started hosting shows. And then it matured to calling games in the Big West and the Pac-12. Then I was doing sideline for the Lakers, the Clippers, the Dodgers, the Angels, hosting pre and post for the Angels and Dodgers. And I just kept saying yes to everything. And then CBS Sports Network hired me, and I started doing games in the Mountain West Conference, started doing games at the Atlantic 10. And it was fun, and it was great. And so up until 2010, and that was from 2001 to 2010, I was doing all that in national radio for Fox Sports Radio. And then at the Final Four, I was sitting with Stephen A. Smith and Jay Billis in Indianapolis. And I was watching the Final Four, and this was when Butler was playing for a national championship with Brad Stevens. And I said to Jay, man, I really want to come to ESPN. I don't know. Do you think I'm good enough? And Jay was like, yeah, no, you're definitely good enough, Sean. I know your work. I've seen your work. You're definitely good enough to be at ESPN. And I said, I don't even know how to get there. And he goes, well, here's a number. Call this guy. And he was the CP at the time, Dan Steer, who was the CP of college basketball. So I get home, 2 days later, I'm sitting in my bedroom, and I'm shaking with nerves. And my wife goes, just call. Just call. But own it. Own it with confidence. And I was like, okay. So I called and I said, Dan Steer, my name's Sean Farnham. I'm going to be the next college basketball analyst at ESPN that you're going to hire.
Wow.
And he
That's
goes,
the confidence
whoa.
right there. Yeah,
He goes,
that's
well,
the confidence.
nice to hear from you, Sean.
Yeah.
And he goes, I'm actually familiar with your work. And I was like, great. That's good to hear. And he goes, all right, so tell me why you're calling me. And so we got into this conversation. He goes, listen, I'm coming out with my family to Los Angeles next week. Why don't we meet at the Grove and we'll have a breakfast together? So we did that. I get in the car. I'm like, I think that went pretty well. 5 minutes later, phone rings. Hey, Sean, this is the talent office at ESPN. We'd like to bring you back for a car wash interview. And now the car wash interview, they don't do as much as they used to, but you would go through and it was 30 minutes all day long with different executives, different coordinating producers of sports that you will never even remotely. I talked to the person that was running IndyCar at the time for us. And, I go through all of it, and it was just unbelievably stressful. And I was like, man, I hope it was okay. I hope I did all right. They all come together. They offered me a job. It was actually less money than I was making, combined between all the jobs that I had. And I looked at my wife and I said, I'm betting on me. I'm going to bet on me. And I know this might put us in a tight little pinch right now, but I got faith in myself. And I went in and I did it, and we've never looked back. And obviously I'm in a pretty good situation. I've been there for this is my 16th season at ESPN. So, but it all came because I made the phone call. If I don't make that phone call, maybe I get there, but maybe it's like 3 or 4 years later, and it's not the same opportunities that I have right now.
Wow. I mean,
So cool.
one-liners in this podcast. Goodness.
So cool.
The explanation of
story.
pride from Coach Herrick. I'm betting on me. Sean, I'm ready to run through a wall right now, brother.
You should have gotten to coaching, man. I've
I've been interviewed a couple times in recent years. For
Yeah,
jobs.
I was going to say, like, that has been on the table, not surprisingly.
I mean, I did think at one point in time of just converting to the Mormon faith when Mark Pope left, but that was a whole
100%.
nother. No, just kidding.
Yeah, that would
Doors
have been
open.
You would have gotten paid.
Doors open. Sean, you bring up faith and betting on me, and I know that you are a man of faith, and you weigh decisions very carefully before you go and do things like betting on yourself. So how has that principle, just faith in general, in trying to combine that power with hard work and effort, how has that guided you in your professional life?
Well, I was blessed. I went to Catholic schools growing up my entire life. I went to De La Salle High School, which is one of the most traditional powerhouses in athletics in general, but certainly in football in the Bay Area. And there was a Christian brother by the name of Robert Wickman who changed my life. And the Lasallian principles, for those of you who may not know, is to serve others, always to serve others. And I have always embraced the team mentality of life. So whether it's my family, whether it's my crew that I work with on games, I view us as a team. And so it's not a reflection of me trying to stand out or me trying to be a star or me trying. The Disease of Me, written by Pat Riley. If you've never read The Winner Within, just go look it up online and read the chapter The Disease of Me. And I read that in high school for the first time, and I always remember that. And I've always thought to myself, like, you know what? Like, De La Salle principles are always about giving to others. And if you live your life as that is being your centerpiece, right, of like caring about others, thinking about others, good things tend to spiral around that for you as an individual as well. Like, it's like on the court, and Jimmer will tell you this, the most unselfish thing you can do is set a screen. But it's also the most selfish thing you can do, because usually the screener is the guy that gets open. Right?
Usually. Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. So you can be both at the exact same time. You can be the most unselfish player and the most selfish player at the exact same time with that mentality. In life, for me, if you can serve others, if you can lift others, if you can bring others along with you in your journey, good things happen. And I've tried to instill that in my kids. And I look in awe of what they've been able to accomplish. I think my faith gets challenged. I think faith gets challenged by all of us. Like, faith is a very personal thing. And there's been times in my life where I've questioned God. And I've questioned whether or not God actually existed, because if God did, why would that have happened? Why would this have happened to someone that I care about in my life? And I get angry and I question that. And then as you pull away, you start to realize there's an emptiness, and that what you're pulling away from is the light that would actually bring you healing from what has transpired. And that challenge could end up being a core strength that allows you to take that next step that you didn't know you needed to take as a man or as a father, and or a mentor, and I've learned that, and again, I've pushed back on my faith, and then I've reengaged with my faith, and I think that is something that is not uncommon to many, because I think we all have experiences that make us stop for a second and go, why? Why did this happen? Well, that person, like, why did this person deserve that? And I think that I always fall back on my principles that I learned at De La Salle, and that you continue to care for others, you continue to serve for others, and you see that, and I'm proud, and I'll boast on this because it's uniquely relevant to this. Like, my son is 14 years old, and he was working his job, and he wanted to collect baseball cards. He loves sports cards, basketball, football, baseball cards. Okay, cards are way more expensive than they were in 1989 when I was buying them at Costco. Like, these boxes are like $500. I'm like, I can't afford to do this for you. Like, I love you, but I got to pay for your brother in college. Like, we're not doing this. And my son said, well, I'll get a job then. And I was like, all right. He's 14 years old. I'm like, who's going to hire a 14-year-old? So he gets a job at this restaurant, and it's a Mexican restaurant in Los Angeles that's like kind of like, it's called Sharky's, but it's kind of like a Chipotle type restaurant, but like different. And it's my best way to describe it to a national audience that may not be familiar with it. But if you come to LA, try Sharky's. Anyways, so he's making this money, and he's buying his own baseball cards. He's doing all of those things, and that's great. The other night he comes home, and a guy placed an order for $185 worth of food. That is a lot of food at a Mexican restaurant.
Yes, it is. Yes, it
He
is.
then called up like 35 minutes later and was like, I'm not going to come and get it. So just like, do whatever you want with the food. I've already paid for it, but I'm sorry. I'm not coming in. And so they were like, they gave it to my son. Who wants this food? My son gets it. And he comes home and says, you know what we should do? We should go drive this food around and find homeless people that are hungry tonight and feed them.
Oh, man.
That is awesome.
And that's a 14-year-old kid just having the awareness. And to me, that makes me prouder than a lot of other things that my son has done. That he makes me proud a lot of ways, but like, he understands serving others. Like, we could have housed those nachos for sure, but he was like, well, what if we found somebody and we gave them this food? And so we all got in the car. My daughter's home from college. My wife got in the car, and we all drove around, and we found somebody, two homeless people in particular, that one was looking through a trash can at the time. And I got out of my car, and I said, hey guys, I'll stay in the car because LA's a little different. And I was like, hey, sir, are you hungry? And he said, yes, I am. And I gave him the food. And the next person we found was sitting at a bus stop and was just setting up his tent for the night, and rolled down the window. And my son said, are you hungry, sir? And the guy looked up and he goes, I'm so hungry. I haven't eaten all day.
Ugh.
And we gave him the food. And it's that mentality of like, if we had more of that, I think all the things that we look at, and I think today's society, it frustrates me because I think we get held up by social media. We get held up by the news, and we live in this spiral of negativity because negativity sells. Negativity and fear keeps us engaged, which means television corporations can sell their advertising space for higher dollar values. But the reality of it is that story that I just shared about my son, I guarantee you that happens a lot more than we think, and certainly that we're told about. And there is a lot more good going on in our world than there is negative. And there are negative things. Like, you can't sugarcoat all of it. There's certainly negative things going on in society. But I do believe that most people's core and most people's heart wants good for their own, for their neighbors, for their community. And if we lived more in that centerpiece of life, I think we find a better place for ourselves, and we can rid ourselves of some of the impacts of social media and the nightly news and all the news channels, the opinion news channels that are out there that tell us how we're supposed to think or how we're supposed to feel about certain things.
Sean, you just explained in a fantastic way very much of why Jimmer and I wanted to do this podcast, because we want to try and bring some light and hope and goodness into the world. And you, my friend, thank you, have helped us feel better and want to be better today. And that is at the center of why we're doing this, because we want to share the good news. And that story is incredible
Oh, it's so
from
good.
your 14-year-old son. So we appreciate you opening up that door and sharing one of your core, probably very personal memories with us. And I love that we can have our listeners and watchers engage with that. That said, we know you don't have infinite time and you got to get back to work because you're on the grind as always. And so we typically will close out these interviews with some rapid fire questions
Okay.
that allows you to bring some personality, which
Can I just say one thing though before we
please
get to
do.
rapid fire?
Please do.
Is so much respect for Jimmer, and not that I don't have respect for you, Spencer. You know that I do. But Jimmer, so much respect for you and the game of basketball. And I hope that anybody that listens to this understands one thing: whether you're a guy that defended and set screens like I did at UCLA for pros like Jimmer, or whether you're a pro like Jimmer, the ball eventually stops bouncing. At some point in time, the air comes out the ball, and you're no longer that person. And that identity was not just you as a player, but it's you as a man. And I think that is one of the things I think youth parents today get caught up so much in wanting their kids to be all world, and they're chasing consistently, that they forget the joy of the moment that they're in, because not everybody gets to play in college. Not everybody gets to play at the high major Division I level at places like BYU or UCLA. Not everybody gets to go to pro. I would have loved to go pro with Jimmer. I would have loved to play in the NBA. I would have loved to play overseas. That wasn't in my cards. And that's okay, because I realized that when that ball stopped having air in it, my purpose in life was just beginning. And I think that is a key thing that I think everybody that plays the game of basketball, every parent that has a kid that's playing the game of basketball, needs to step back and think about just for a second, because otherwise you lose focus on what truly is important in this process. All right, rapid fire me up. Go.
Okay, let's do it. And the appropriate transition point, I believe, deals with you now watching your daughter as a Division I athlete, a goalkeeper for the Cal Bears. Sean, what's the best and worst part of watching your posterity compete as a Division I athlete?
The best is that she's living her goals and her dreams. I mean, here's a young lady that got sent over to train with Man City for 12 days when she was 15 years old, has been part of multiple U.S. youth national team camps and whatnot, has won a national championship at the club level. Like, I rest pretty easy in most cases with her in goal. One, because I don't know much about the sport. Like, I can't coach her. Like, I can't tell her technique-wise, like, you should have done this. Like, I have no idea. So, like, I can sit back and enjoy it. The worst part is PKs.
Oh
gosh.
man.
Yeah. I
In the
can't
end of a
imagine.
game, like, you're up 1-0, and some defender does a dumb foul right inside the box, and you're like, no. And then you're like, please, just one time, you played good the whole game. Let's not have it happen like this. But like, that's the worst, because midfielders and forwards, they can shank shots all day long on net, and everybody goes, oh, good effort. So close. We'll get one. Yay. A goalkeeper makes one mistake in soccer, you can lose the whole game. And that, to me, is like the worst. That's the worst of the whole thing.
Oh man,
Shout out to
I feel
Morgan.
that pain. Yeah, seriously, shout out to Morgan. I feel that pain too. Those PKs, I can't even imagine. You think like a free throw at the end of the game is pressure filled. That's not even close, right?
No, because you have this big old net, and you just got to
have
figure it
no
out and
idea.
guess.
You are guessing, generally speaking, most of the time. You're just hoping that they kick it into you or hit the goalpost, something like that. It's insane.
It's awful.
It's absolutely insane, but that is awesome. All right, let's do a little bit more rapid fire. We're going to go here to a little bit more college basketball oriented. Obviously, we're on. We want to talk about that with you a little bit. So, who's the best team you've seen so far this year?
Gosh, I would say Arizona right now. They're number one in the country. They're so efficient, and defensively, they're so connected. I think it starts with Jaden Bradley, who's an older guard that's been in the program now for 3 years. I think if you question Arizona, the one question is their three-point shooting. They don't shoot a lot of three-point shots. They shoot a good percentage. They just don't shoot a lot. But I think what makes them special, Jimmer, is that you have guys like Toby Awaka and Anthony Del Orso, who both started over 30 games last year. They went, yeah, we'll go to the bench for these freshmen. Like, these freshmen can start over us, and I'm good with that. And they legitimately are good with it. And Toby Awaka comes off the bench and grabs 10 rebounds, and Del Orso, goes out and scores 17 points and knocks down a couple of threes. And like, it benefits the team. When you start to see that, you start to understand in that locker room that in a very transactional era of collegiate athletics, it's transformational right now for Arizona. Those guys are willing to sacrifice for the person in the locker room to the left or to the right or across from them. And I think that bodes very well for Tommy Lloyd's team. Michigan, I still think, is there. I know they took their first loss of the season, but their decimation of almost everybody that they faced all year long, I think it's pretty hard to ignore what they've been able to accomplish.
Okay, Sean, we're about wrapped up, and this might be an impossible answer because you've been a lot of places. The best college basketball venue you've either played in or done a broadcast in?
I'll do a two-per on that one. Best college basketball venue I ever played in was Pauley Pavilion.
Give
Back
a
in the
shout out
day,
to Pauly.
truth-
it was
truth-
amazing.
It was
Yeah.
sold out. It was
Yeah.
very loud.
It was electric.
Yeah, it's a great spot.
It was awesome. And
Yep.
and having Coach Wooden behind your bench too just added to it. Looking across and seeing Bill Walton or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Marcus Johnson at games, you were like, oh my gosh, like you understood what you were representing when you put that uniform on. So I think that I never took for granted playing those home games. It's easy to say like, I'm used to it, so I'll go somewhere else. I think Allen Fieldhouse is hard to beat, guys.
Yeah.
Like, I think like you go to Allen Fieldhouse, you walk out dripping with tradition. Like, I mean, you walk through there and you're like looking at pictures of Wilt. You look at the Dr. Naismith's rules of the game. Like it's legitimately Hoosiers-esque Fieldhouse. Like you've got bench seating. Like it's everything you want in a college basketball venue, and it's large. And they win almost every time they take the floor there. And it certainly is a spectacular environment. So I would say that is number one. As a broadcaster, it's just very unique. And maybe it's also because I haven't gone there as much as I've gone to other places. But that would be number one on my list.
Sean, fantastic stuff. We so appreciate you being with us on the podcast today. And it feels right that Jimmer's about to have his jersey retired, and we've got one of the great college basketball analysts who truly understands what Jimmer brought to the game.
I mean, it is unbelievable the greatness that is Jimmer Fredette. And we all stop and look in awe when Jimmer walks in. I will tell you fun note. So I went and did the China game for the Pac-12 for a couple of years.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we went
Yeah.
over. I don't know what his cut was on the jersey sales over there, but I sure hope they were good because everywhere you went, they were like every store. I don't even know if they were legitimate because I'll be honest, like when I got the bootleg
Half and
sunglasses, there was a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
bootleg Jimmer jerseys hanging around there
A
too.
lot of them, and they were the wrong color too. A lot of them, they were like red and blue, and it wasn't even close. But
But it doesn't matter, right? Like it
doesn't matter. I did pretty well over there, so I'm not going to complain. The jersey sales were nice, and I loved my time over there in Shanghai. That's cool. I know, I remember those and being able to speak with Bill and everybody that came over. It was such a cool experience. But this is great, Sean. Thank you so much. I wish we had more time so you guys could just keep building me up in this podcast. I appreciate it so much, but I know you got to get to the game tonight.
The BYU Colorado game, my friend.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we appreciate the time, and thank you so much. Enjoy the call tonight. Excited to watch BYU TCU tonight.
No worries, guys. Talk to you soon.
You got it. The great Sean Farnham bringing it on From the Logo. When we return, Jimmer and I take on your listener submissions and our open gym segment. Stay with us. This is From the Logo with Jimmer Fredette.
If you or your business are looking to reach a wide audience, From the Logo with Jimmer Fredette will help you reach your goals. Whether you're interested in title sponsorship, segment sponsorship, or product placement on the podcast, email us at jimmerftl@gmail.com and let us help you shoot your shot.
From the Logo rolls on, we now open it up to our listeners and viewers with your submitted questions and comments from social media straight to us. Jimmer, start us off with the first comment from YouTube.
Yeah, a lot of comments this week. First one is from Wacky Jack YSR71. He says, so humble and kind. I'm always impressed with Jamal. We are as well. The guy is awesome. He's so humble. He's kind. He's funny. He's great. We had a blast with him, and we're with you, Wacky Jack. Thank you.
The humility is, you could feel it from Jamal because he's a bona fide star and has been for a long time. But my gosh, what a personable, fun dude. always glad to give Jamal some more props. So we're glad that you enjoyed that episode. All right, next comment comes also from YouTube. It's Bryce Evans 7749. Bryce adds, when do you think they'll retire Tyler Hawes' number? Now, I'm going to add this to what you're probably going to expound on, Jimmer, and that is there's a very stringent set of rules and requirements to be considered to have your jersey retired at BYU.
There are a lot of things that you don't know and realize, and I think Tyler hits a lot of those benchmarks. And obviously, he's the leading scorer of all time at BYU. He was an incredible basketball player. I love him as a person. We're great friends now, and I would love to see his jersey put up in the rafters alongside mine and Danny and Kresimir. But obviously, it's not up to me. But I would love to see Tyler up there. But there are a lot of things that you have to pass in order to do it, and it takes a while. It takes 15 years at least.
Yeah.
So then you go from there. So I'm excited to see what happens. But Tyler is, regardless, one of the greatest basketball players that's ever played at BYU.
You have to have 15 years pass, as you mentioned. Typically, it's been you got to be a first-team All-American or win some major award, which you did all of that, Jimmer, and had the time requirement pass. But it's something that BYU institutes, so they can change, they can move the goalposts, if you will, but they haven't. And you hit those stringent parameters, but Tyler's an all-timer. Like you
All-time.
love that guy. It'll be interesting to see how they address this moving forward, and if a guy like Tyler Hawes can get in. Because, I mean, Jimmer, Puka Nacua, Fred Warner, Taysom Hill, those guys right now on the football side, even they are not qualifying to have their jerseys retired, which is pretty wild.
Yeah, it is pretty wild to think about. So we'll see what happens as we move forward. But really awesome comment. So next one we have here is from an IG post about Jamal, talking about snorting the brown sugar at the Pop-Tarts. Okay, now, yeah, a little bit wild, and that's what you get from Jamal. We have Allison T. She said, I love that brown sugar Pop-Tarts are still his favorite to this day. I bought him a brown sugar Pop-Tart from the vending machines on campus once when we had class together in the spring term. What a guy, one of my favorite BYU players of all time. That is awesome. Just go ahead and just bought him a Pop-Tart. But is that a violation back then? Should we actually take some wins away because she bought him a Pop-Tart at the vending machine? That might have been a violation back then, Allison. We appreciate the comment, and I don't know if we're opening a can of worms here, but that was awesome.
It's a great question, Jimmer. Also, big heart for that, Allison, for buying Jamal Pop-Tarts. Very cool. But yeah, is that technically, based on the rules back then, a violation? Conversation for another day. We'll finish with this final comment from Instagram on the podcast and your jersey retirement announcement post from the Blonde Who Bakes. Says, so dang awesome, 4 exclamation points. Congratulations. Hands up emoji, basketball emoji. Very cool, Jimmer.
Man, I follow her. I followed her even before all of this because I love looking at her cakes that she makes. It's incredible.
It's wild.
And she said that if she's gonna make a cake, I already reached out. We're gonna talk about it because that would be amazing. I need a cake for this occasion. And she's the best at it, and what an honor! Get my jersey retired and get a cake from the Blonde Who Bakes. Thanks for even thinking of me, and wanted to shout you out, and excited about that opportunity. So we'll be in touch here soon.
I mean, she said, I think we might need a cake to celebrate. Like she said it. She put it out there, Jimmer. Let's go, man.
Let's go.
All right. If you'd like to submit questions for us or our guests on the next show, pretty simple. You can follow us on all of the social platforms, Instagram, X, and TikTok, not to mention YouTube. Just find the comment section, send it in. We'll find it and do our best to reply to it or bring it up on the show. When we come back, coaching is on topic in 3x3, or the lack thereof, when From the Logo with Jimmer Fredette continues.
If you or your business are looking to reach a wide audience, From the Logo with Jimmer Fredette will help you reach your goals. Whether you're interested in title sponsorship, segment sponsorship, or product placement on the podcast, email us at jimmerftl@gmail.com and let us help you shoot your shot.
From the logo traverses into the final quarter with our USA Basketball 3x3 update presented by Wilner and O'Reilly. Just call Kelly at Wilner and O'Reilly, an immigration law expert and friend of the show. WilnerO'Reilly.com is where you get the information. GM Jimmer has the latest on Team USA's drive to gold in 2028 from his 3x3 teams across the globe. And you are a coach of sorts, more on the GM role, obviously.
Yeah.
But that leads us into today's topic, which centers on coaching in 3x3 basketball.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something that I actually do a little bit of because when you're in this role and you're trying to figure out what type of style of play you want to do, and we don't have a full coach set. So like some of that responsibility has been on me of like trying to figure out what that looks like, especially with some of our younger coaches and a guy who's played the game obviously for a while and at the highest level. They always ask for things, but then there's some coaches out there that are incredible, that are way more knowledgeable than me, that have done this even longer and know what they're doing. But when you're playing in 3x3 basketball, you cannot have a coach on the floor. I think we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
They're not sitting next to you, right? So you can't actually ask them for help. So they can't be like, hey, I want you to run this play in this time, or you should be attacking this guy on defense. That's all up to the players. So all of the coaching happens before that ball is checked. And that is a real nerve-wracking thing for coaches, because you are trying to put as much as you can and instill the game plan, and also, you know, not give them too much because it's a fast game and you don't want to be overthinking while they're out there playing. There's not a ton of adjustment that can be made during that time period. It's always just little things that you try to put in. It's like, hey, listen, this is what this person does well, especially at the end of the game. They're probably going to go to this action, or they're going to do this. So let's understand what we need to do. So if they run that, we know how to defend it in a really pivotal moment of the game.
Yeah.
Right. So you're trying to instill these things. And then when you're a coach and you're sitting in the stands and they, you know, look up at you or something like that, if you say something to them or you tell them what to do, you're going to get a coach's warning from the ref. And then that second time that something happens, you're going to get a technical foul. And obviously that is a very, very difficult thing to deal with for a team that is going to 21, right? And they get a free throw, maybe 2 free throws. And then depending on what happens, they could get the ball back or, you know, there could just be a live ball off that free throw. So it is, I don't want to be a coach for 3x3 basketball because it is way too nerve wracking, and you're just relying on your players to hopefully play as hard as they can and win these games on their own. And it is not fun to do, but there's people out there that absolutely love it. It's also a real thrill. So yeah, that's the coaching. It's pretty wild.
How much money's involved? Because if it's the right price, I might throw my name into consideration, Jim.
Yeah, not a lot of money. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. Not a lot of money. Believe me. If we had a lot of money, we might try to go out and get you know, some big time names to come over and do this. It is a certain type of person that you know, that loves 3x3. They're doing it because they love the game. They're doing it because it is an awesome sport that is growing, and they know a lot about it, and they love USA Basketball. They're not doing it for any other reason, but they want to help USA Basketball be the best at 3x3 they can possibly be. And I respect all those coaches out there and appreciate them.
Tip of the cap to those guys, and we appreciate you, Jimmer, for the insight into 3x3. That'll do it for this week's episode. Remember a few things. I'm looking for my Wally, my Maytag man. Okay? Utah County Maytag man. Help me out, folks.
Help Spence out,
Submit
man.
names. I need it. I will be especially, not especially grateful. Jimmer, great stuff, brother. Always good to talk to you, my friend.
Especially great episode tonight. Thanks, Spence. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next time, folks.
How dare you? Hey, shoot your shot in life. We'll see you next time.